A house is made of wood and stone, but only love can make a home. Welcome to the RepcoLite Home Improvement Show, helping you make your home into one you'll love even more. On News Radio Wood 1300 and 106.9 FM.
Well, good morning, everybody. Happy Saturday. Haley, happy Saturday.
Happy Saturday, Dan.
We have a big one this week. So many cool things to do.
It's an exciting show.
So little time. We have petitioned the radio station for 6 additional hours, and they declined. But they told us to cram everything into this hour and just make it work. So we're going to do our best to do that. I have had numerous cans of Red Bull already and coffee. So
it's really good. It's a lot of fun here.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. I'm bouncing off the walls. No, I'm so excited because we're going to launch our Christmas contest.
Yes.
We've done this for as long as we've been on the radio.
Right. So it's been a while.
And every year, this is one of my favorite things that we do. And last year, we amped it up a little bit, made it a little more fun than it had been in the past. I thought a little more interactive.
Yeah, I think exactly. It's more interactive. It's like a full experience now. All the stores are involved, and it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, and so we're going to do similar things this year. There's more chances to win, more opportunities to enter.
Yep.
Really, really fun stuff. We're going to explain all of that at the end of the show, so hang around for that. Right now, I want to dig into a project that I stumbled into on the internet looking for something else. I ran across this project, and the project is painting your subfloor, turning your subfloor into a finished floor just by painting it. So the idea that everybody who was promoting this was saying was that they had carpet that was in really bad shape.
Sure, like maybe the cat.
Oh, the cat. Yeah. Maybe the kids are dirty.
Maybe you moved into a new house.
Oh, that could be that. Yeah.
It could be really gross.
And the carpet is just, I can't live with that.
Yeah.
And so you want to pull it out, but I don't have money because I just moved into a new house, or whatever.
And flooring is so expensive.
Right. I don't have money to replace it. What do I do? Well, the idea is a really inexpensive way to give yourself a nice finished floor is to paint that subfloor, that plywood subfloor, turn it into a finished space. Looks really good. You look at these things online, and there's a lot of really positive how-to videos. They walk you through the steps. I looked at a bunch of them, and I would say that most of the steps recommended are the right steps. So I didn't see any that you're going to go wrong with by following the details.
It's not like fully ridiculous, but I think that there are some pros and cons to this project still that maybe they're not fully addressing.
Right. We just wanted to kind of sum everything up. Is it a good project, a bad project? You guys decide whether it's right for you, but let's give you the pros and cons. Let's start with pros, Haley. What do you think? Big pros.
I mean, big pro is that this is a really inexpensive way to get something that looks like a brand new floor.
Yeah. No,
right?
You can't go wrong with that. Inexpensive is always a win in my book.
Absolutely.
Always a win. Do you think anybody likes to just spend a lot?
It's possible.
Yeah, I'm sure.
I'm sure that person exists.
Well, I'd like to know them, and I'd like to be on their Christmas list.
Yeah.
Let's just say that. For me, inexpensive is a big thing. And yes, this is a great way to get something on your floor that you can live with. And that's how I would look at this project. This is a get-you-by project to me.
Yes, I would agree with that. And I think that there's value to those projects because it really can change the way that you feel about your space in a pretty dramatic way. If it's a really gross carpet and it makes you depressed every time you go in the room and now it's gone and you've got something clean that you like.
Way better.
That's way better.
Way better than trying to figure out how to hover across that floor.
Exactly.
It's way better than walking across with socks that used to be white. That by the time you get to your favorite chair, they're black.
Yeah, that's gross.
That's uncool. Nobody wants that. This is a great way to fix that. So positive in that regard. I like the idea that it offers just a ton of creativity.
That's true.
There's a lot of paint projects. Painting my living room, for example. Any paint project, there's a lot of creativity that's involved, right?
Yeah, you're picking colors.
Do all of these things. A lot of creativity. When it comes to a floor, I think that just it's creativity to the nth degree. Because there's so many more things I can do. And it's not usual to see colors on the floor like you could choose to put down.
Exactly.
And that makes it even more interesting to other people. And you're not just limited to solid colors on this. You could go with all kinds of
stencils,
stuff.
patterns. You could do a mural. We've seen people that have painted like a basketball court line on
a kid's bedroom floor.
So cute.
Yeah, until they start trying to use that as a basketball court. That's troublesome. But I would tell my children right away, this is for looks only. We have a lot of things that are for looks only. But anyway, lots of cool stuff that you can't do with carpet. You can't do with a more expensive floor. You're not going to do that with a hardwood floor.
Probably not.
And have anybody be terribly thrilled with you.
Yeah.
Right? So a lot of creativity.
There's a lot of possibilities.
A lot of outlet here. I really like that. So those are some pros. Let's get to a couple cons, and then let's look at the project a little more specifically after that. So for me, one of the big cons is that a lot of prep work is involved in order to really make this look good.
That's true.
And prep work is important on every single paint job.
Yeah.
If you skimp on it, you really
levels.
suffer. Right. But this one, it's a little more intense. I mean, even down to removing tack strip around the edge of the room. I laugh because I have tried to do that, and within minutes, I almost need a tourniquet because it is so sharp. And
You've just bled everywhere at this point?
Yes. I am so bad. I don't even know I'm bumping it. And I'm bleeding.
Yeah, it's not a fun process.
That is not fun, but you've got to do that. You've got to countersink any raised fasteners. That's important.
Fill all of those nail holes that you just created by removing the tack strip. Right.
Lots of filling. There's sanding. There's lots of cleaning up after you've sanded.
Yeah.
There's priming. Lots of prep. And if you don't do the prep well, you're going to see it. If you skimp on it, you're really going to see it.
Yeah.
So that's a downside to me. You got to understand that going in. This is some work.
It's some sweat equity, right?
Yeah.
You're not spending a bunch of money necessarily in the prep work, but it does take some time.
Right. So what's your con?
The texture of certain subfloor materials.
Okay.
Because we're picturing probably a smooth plywood subfloor right now.
That's what I'm picturing.
That's pretty reasonable to think that you're going to paint that and have a fairly decent looking floor after it's done.
I would agree.
What you're not picturing probably is an OSB subfloor, which is like a wood chips that have been glued together, has a ton of texture, and they're not smooth. They're not all glued down very well.
Right, those big flakes.
Yeah.
I can imagine the kids running across it and getting them into their feet, little cuts, little slivers.
Yes. You're going to get splinters.
Even if you don't get that, your socks are still going to stick to it almost like it's Velcro. Right? I think so. I can imagine that happening. So yes, not all subfloors are suited for this. A plywood subfloor, this can work really well. If you've got a different material, this probably isn't the thing for you.
No.
Another big con for me, and then we'll move on to just a little more details about the project that you should think about, but another big con is just understanding the nature of paint. Now, it doesn't have to be a con, but I think in some people's minds, we think that the paint on the floor, it's floor paint. This is going to just last and last. Well, it is suited for a floor, and it is made to do all of those things, but it's still
durable.
Going to wear. It's on a floor. I mean, it's getting traffic that other painted surfaces don't usually get.
Right.
We're not normally walking on our walls.
Or moving furniture across the walls.
But think about that. You're dragging chairs. You're dragging a table. You're walking across it, running across it.
There's a lot of wear.
A lot of wear, and that can show, especially if you've got a solid color that you've chosen to use.
Right. I mean, a pattern or, a mural is going to hide a lot more of that, so that's something to consider. But it's not as permanent as a wood floor, right?
Exactly.
That's going to last you the rest of your life.
Right.
This is temporary.
So with all of that said, I still really like the project for the right situations.
Yes.
Some recommendations if you're going to jump in. First off, get the right paint. Benjamin Moore's Floor and Patio is a great option, and Fresh Start High Hiding All-Purpose Primer is the right primer to use. You've got to be specific about primers because you need a floor use primer.
Exactly.
Make sure you do the prep. That's important too. Take time to sand the floors, fill the cracks, and cover the fastener heads. And you got to use the right compound. Flexible floor leveling compound is ideal. Other compounds can chip and crack out. You've got to use the right thing. So make sure you're doing that. Make sure you're cleaning everything well. Take the time to prime. Do all of those things, and you can have great results.
Yeah.
Basically, if you think you're going to jump in, stop out at any RepcoLite or Port City Paints. We'll walk you through the project, get you the right recommendations, and get you off on the right foot. Now, all right, we're going to take a break. When we come back, we'll be in the studio with Bob Troszok from the Plainfield store talking about paint and board games and mushing all of that together into one or two brilliant segments.
It's great.
It's all just ahead. Stay tuned.
Helping you turn your house into your dream home. This is the RepcoLite Home Improvement Show, presented by Benjamin Moore on News Radio Wood 1300 and 106.9 FM.
And we're back, and Haley and I are in the studio with RepcoLite's own Bob Troszok from the Plainfield store. Bob, thanks for being here.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
You've been on before. We've had you off for a while. We were punishing you for previous...
I was in timeout.
Yeah,
I was in timeout for
experiences. No, we just weren't able to get you back, and this time I wanted to reach out to you because I don't want to talk about paint. which is, of course, we are going to talk about paint.
I mean, we will.
But I don't want to. I guess I'm obligated by my job requirement to get these things out there, and we have to talk about some paint. Yep. But what I want to talk to you specifically about are some board games.
Yes. Yep.
We're hitting holiday season. People are starting to make Christmas purchases, and every year, we talk about some board game recommendations. I love board games. It's not something I loved growing up because I only knew about the basics, Monopoly and stuff like that, and Dad cheated.
Oh my gosh.
He wasn't having fun unless we were crying. It's really what it boiled down to.
I really like that, honestly.
So that was my introduction to board games. Probably 10 years or so ago, I found better, bigger board games that just tons of fun. I love talking about it because it's really been a great thing for my family. We've had loads of fun sitting around the table playing these games. And you host the Board Game Shenanigans Podcast. It's something you started a year ago.
Yep, in January of last year. Yep.
All right, you co-host that with?
Natasha.
And just that's her name? That's what we give out on the air?
Natasha, yeah.
Sure.
I don't want to give out her last name.
Okay. Do you give out your last name on the air?
She doesn't know, man. She doesn't need that kind of publicity.
Really?
Are you kidding me? No.
All right. Is Natasha even her real name? Questions for the ages.
I only know her as Natasha.
All right.
I only know her as Natasha.
All right. That's awesome. Maybe she's one of those really, really, really famous people who don't need a last name.
Right, exactly. Like Cher or
Dan.
Rock.
I'm pretty sure she's gonna switch to just a symbol of some kind.
Okay.
I think that's like a new status symbol.
Prince.
That symbol.
Yeah, or like a code name. Like Elon Musk's kid.
I have
Elon
some
Musk
code
has
names.
A code name?
He has like a kid that's like a bunch of letters. It's just letters.
Well, that seems practical.
Right.
That'll be fun to say on air.
That would be the thing. If you switch to a symbol, how would you introduce yourself to a podcast?
You'd have to go to YouTube, as we have done, and you'd have to hold that symbol up.
This is my name. Boom.
Yeah.
Yep.
Anyway, you started that a year ago or so, and you guys talk about board games.
Correct.
Dig into all kinds of stuff. So I thought, let's get you here to talk about it. But before we jump into that, we've got to do our due diligence and talk about paint stuff. Now, a few weeks ago, Haley and I talked about
our favorite paint projects
it's something,
of all time.
Yeah, we have never really had that conversation.
We never really thought about it, to be honest.
Right.
Like, really thinking about what paint project has made the biggest impact was kind of challenging for a moment. I was like, I have no idea.
Yeah.
But the more I thought about it, mine ended up being a really small one, which was the door to the back of the house, which is the one that I come through. Yeah. But every day it just made a big difference.
And that was Haley's. Mine was a basement repaint. It was just a block wall basement, pretty junky, pretty scary.
Pretty scary.
And it made it less scary. The children didn't mind being down there.
It's like the Home Alone house with the furnace or whatever.
Exactly like that.
Yes.
What's yours, Bob? I gave you about 15 minutes to think of this.
Yeah. Man, that's a good question. Because I don't think people automatically think paint's going to be this like life-changing thing. Mm-hmm. And the one thing I kept thinking about is we bought a new house in December of 19. We moved in. And we kept the color scheme the way it was. And the entire time we were there, up until I painted it, it kind of felt like we were in somebody else's house.
Sure.
Been there, done that.
Yeah, there you go. Until we...
The police came. I was escorted away. But yours was different. You owned the house.
Yeah, we did, yes.
That's more cool.
Yeah, we did have ownership papers. So it was just painting the house eventually made it feel like our own, if that makes sense.
Well, yeah, it makes a lot of sense. Room by room? Did you do the outside?
No, the outside's vinyl siding. I'm going to leave that as is. The inside is where the problem was, too, whoever painted it, they did all the trim because it was natural like woodwork, and they just slapped some paint on it. So I had to like scrape that all off. It was kind of a pain. But regardless, once we painted it and we put up our colors that we like, not that their colors were bad, it just felt there's this change, right?
Yeah, it's your own.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's intentional.
Yep.
There's a reason that you chose the colors you chose. You're not just living in something that someone else pre-decided for you.
Correct.
Yeah. There's like a whole different level of, it's the pride of ownership. I mean, that's what it is. Yeah. I think it takes the home to a different level at that point.
Yeah, for sure. I do. I do want to talk about one, if it's okay, one other random thing that I did.
Yes, go for it. It's Bob's show. This is why you were in timeout.
Dan didn't want to talk about paint, Bob.
Well, okay. So the funny thing is I thought about that and I was just like, it transforms your home and it turns it into your home because it's, again, like you said, that ownership piece.
Yeah.
The other thing I wanted to bring up was when I first got into paint back in 2009, I had an apartment that we could actually paint. And I remember getting a bunch of paint and I remember painting and it looked awful. It was the worst paint job like I have ever seen in my entire life. And I was so proud at how terrible it was. Like I was like, I did all this. And people would just be like, oh, okay. I mean, paint on the ceiling, just like everywhere. It was.
This is why.
Bob works at our Plainfield store. You can get his expert help.
Oh, I'm much better now. I'm much better now. Yeah.
No, we all have to start somewhere though, don't we?
Right.
I mean, obviously.
Yeah, it was, well, man, it was awful. And like now I've just done it so much that I don't even it's second nature now. Right. So, yeah, but it was funny.
That I really like. I like the fact that, people coming in, your stuff back and forth. No. That's why I can make that joke.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right? Haley's thinking, what are you doing? This is how I roll, Haley. No, because he knows his stuff. But really, we all start somewhere. I had a mom that did all kinds of painting. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So at least I was exposed to it.
Yeah.
And I knew a fair amount. I certainly knew that I didn't want to paint as much as Mom did. Yeah. Sometimes every week the same room was redone.
Oh,
I learned
we never did that
you sample your colors ahead of time so you know what you're getting.
It's key.
But yeah, you start and you learn, and you don't have to knock it out of the park every single time.
No, it's
paint for your friends first until you know what you're doing.
There you go.
Then when you get to your house, you're good.
The problem, too, is normally when you paint for your friends, there's usually some sort of payment involved that involves a case of beer. Can I say that?
Yeah.
Well, you just did,
pizza.
Bob.
Yeah.
They usually, feed you.
They do something, yeah.
Yeah.
You don't have to bring it yourself. They've always made me bring stuff like that.
Well, that's because
when I'm helping.
Bad friends.
The problem is they don't really want you there. Yeah. That's what the problem is. They're like, oh man, yeah. If you're going to be here, at least bring pizza.
We're going to have to raise his buy-in rate.
Yes, exactly.
Maybe eventually he'll bow out.
Yeah, the Dan tax. I love it. Yes.
All right. Well, now I have a better understanding of my friends and how that works.
Yeah. Yeah. That's somebody had to tell you.
Somebody has to tell me. No, but we all start somewhere. We don't have to be experts right off the bat. I mean, I'm sure you've talked to lots of people in the store who come in who are tackling their first project.
Well, and I think the fact that I was so bad at it and I had to learn to be good at it, or at least I wanted to invest the time to become proficient at it, gives me an opportunity to be able to talk to a customer who has hesitations with a project, because then I can say, all right, it may seem overwhelming, but you can do this, and just give them some of those little tips and tricks that I've just kind of picked up from just painting my own stuff.
You should put together a slideshow of your apartment paint, and then the next project you worked on.
I started.
Yeah, look where I'm at now.
Oh man, if I had pictures. Yeah. I don't know. I think people would lose confidence in my ability to paint.
But you were still proud of it when you did it.
Oh, man, I was, because I did it. It was my thing. I was like, man, look at this red kitchen. And I was man, this looks awful. But I did it.
Yes.
No, I like that. I think that should inspire most people to maybe avoid those color schemes.
That was a long time ago.
Yeah, but to understand that you don't have to be an expert right off the bat.
No.
And you can jump in and you will learn and you will pick up the skills, and eventually people will be paying you to help them. Not like me, where I pay to help.
Yes.
All right. Bob, we have gone way too long and way too deep into a topic I didn't even plan to talk about. So we're going to take a break. If you can wait with us.
Sure.
Because now I just increased your workload. We're going to have another segment on the other side where we're actually going to talk about board games. You cool with that?
Yeah, I'm down. Yeah.
All right. We'll be back in just a minute. Slurred all my words there, but you know what I was trying to say.
Stay tuned.
We'll be back in just a minute. Stay tuned.
If you want to take your DIY skills up a rung, the RepcoLite Home Improvement Show is here to give you a boost on News Radio Wood 1300 and 106.9 FM.
And we're back, and Haley and I are in the studio, still in the studio, with Bob Troszok from RepcoLite Paints, the Plainfield location. Bob's the manager there, and we brought you here to talk about board games, actually.
Yes.
We spent last segment going on and on. Bob went on and on about paint.
On and on.
On and on. Just couldn't close his yap. And
pretty much.
Yeah, no, it was great. It was great. Anyway, Bob, you host the Board Game Shenanigans Podcast.
Mm-hmm.
You've been doing that for about a year now. It comes out every week?
Yeah, every Tuesday.
Every Tuesday. It's about an hour long?
Roughly, yeah, anywhere from 45, 50 minutes to an hour and 15. Just kind of depends.
Yeah, and you talk about all kinds of different games, rules, make some recommendations, all of those things, right?
Yeah.
All right. Well, because you're the expert, the go-to on this, we wanted to bring you in and kind of walk our listeners through some of the great games that are out there, maybe give them some gift ideas, some suggestions. Maybe you've got a party coming up and you're looking for something fun to do. Bob's got some answers. And let's start with party games because I think people will be thinking about that. What are some of your favorites?
The first one that comes to the top of my head is a game called Just One. This is a cooperative style. Just One. It's a cooperative style game where one person's going to basically take a card and it's going to have 5 words on it. They're going to pick a number, say 3, and it's going to have a word on it.
I put a card on my head and I pick a number, 3.
Right. Yep.
Okay.
And then everyone else has these little small easels and a dry erase marker, and what they'll do is they'll write down a one-word clue to help you guess that word.
Okay.
The trick is if any 2 people write down the same word, that clue is eliminated. So ultimately
that's
what
kind
you're
of the trick. Yeah.
Like how vague are you, but how direct are you? So there are times where people just start getting really vague because they don't want to do the most common thing.
Exactly.
And then nobody does it. And then the next time all 4 people do it. So then there's no clues and you just have to do a wild stab in the dark.
So give me an example. You put a card on your head and you pick a word and it's princess.
Right. And then you could...
and then Haley and I would write down, but not share it with each other at this point.
Like
correct.
tiara.
So I would write down "and the pauper" because I'm clever.
No, you got to do it. It's one word, but that's fine. Just one.
One word.
Pauper.
Yeah,
Pauper.
Which was going to confuse everybody.
Yes.
Correct. Yes. Your
But
clue. Yeah.
nobody is going
That's
to
the level
have.
of obscure I'm talking about.
That's clever, is what he's
Yeah,
saying.
no one will
if
have
you,
that.
If you read between the lines, that's clever. So Haley shows me her word, tiara, and maybe 3 other people have that.
Yeah.
0 people have pauper.
Yeah.
So that's
now
the
you
one
gotta
that
guess
survives.
off of
And I show you pauper, and you guess princess.
Not princess.
Wow.
I don't know what I would guess.
Okay.
But it probably would not be princess.
So I probably shouldn't be at a lot of these games, or I should get a feel for it first. But that's the concept.
You'll fit perfectly in that style of game because you will have the most obscure one, and everyone needs the most obscure one because maybe that ties everything in together.
I'm the comedic element.
Right.
I keep the game
wild card.
fun. The wild
The
card.
wild card.
Yeah, that's my code name.
You are.
Yeah, maybe I should start the show as that. Your co-host on your show is Natasha.
Yep.
No
You're
other name.
wild
I'll just
card.
be wild card. Sounds like a code name.
The wild
card.
The
Wild
wild
card.
card.
All right, so that's just one.
Yep.
Price-wise, do you have any idea where that falls? I don't think these are very expensive.
No, I think it's $20-$25.
Yeah,
So
okay,
it's
super
not,
cool.
Yeah, not super
Lots of
expensive.
replayability. You can do that over and over again.
The deck is pretty large. Yeah, eventually, if you play it enough, you're going to kind of start to know the words, but I mean, I haven't gotten to that point yet.
All right.
So.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay. How about
like
another
it.
one for those groups that decide, no, that's too clever for our group or not clever enough, however you want to interpret that. What's the next one?
The next game that I would recommend is a game that has been around a while, but seems to get a lot of love, and that game's called Codenames.
Okay.
I've heard of this. I've never played it.
It's it's somewhat cooperative in the fact that there's 2 separate teams. There's going to be a red team and there's going to be a blue team.
I want to be blue team.
Okay.
Be team red, I guess. Okay. So you're going to have a grid in front of you with a bunch of words on it.
And that grid is made up of little cards or something?
Yeah, little cards.
So
that
they
you
can change. The grid changes.
Yep, you shuffle the cards and you deal out a grid of cards. And then the 2 clue givers on the red and blue team, they're going to have a little placard in front of them. And that placard is going to show the grid. And there's going to be certain spots that are blue and certain spots that are red.
Okay.
And the object is for the clue giver to give a 1-word clue and then a number to the number of words it will correlate to your grid. And their job, then everyone else's job is to guess it.
So if I gave out the clue green and it correlated to like 4 different cards on the board, then they could flip those over.
No, so what would happen is if you said green 4, they would guess. And if they guessed correctly, you would take like a little placard of your color or a little little cardboard thing, and you would set it over the word saying that we have now guessed this word.
Okay, so it's
But it's
my
one word
territory.
that they're trying to get at that point?
They're trying to, if you say green 4,
They're trying to
guess 4 words. That means that word relates to 4 different words on the grid.
I like it.
The problem is there is one card one word that is the spy. And if the team ever guesses that, they instantly lose and the other team wins. And your goal is to get all your words before the other team does.
So as the code giver, I get to give multiple codes as we go, multiple clues.
From turn to turn. So yeah, let's say blue starts and says green 4, they guess 2. And then they miss another one. There's going to be innocent bystander little things that you're going to set on the cards that are like neutral, that it's nobody's word.
Okay.
If you guess the other team's word, they get it, and then they go. It starts being their turn.
And if I get them right, do I keep going?
You keep going until you get all 4. You can only have 4 guesses. If, for example, in the Haley example, if she said green 4, and there's 4 words I'm trying to guess, if I get all 4, cool, then it moves on to the red team.
Gotcha.
Because your team blue, right? Team blue? Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, she
would
was
go to the
blue.
red team. So,
All right.
And then the wild card can say his clue.
My turns will be short. So how many people can play?
So there's always going to be 2 clue givers, and then as far as the other people you're giving clues to can be realistically as many as you want.
Does it get to be chaos? Lots of shouting, screaming, fist fights? Depends on your family or
No,
party group.
I don't think I've ever played this game where a fist fight is broken.
Well, you're not doing it right, Bob.
I also don't play with my family.
All right, there you go. So some party game type things. There's a ton of other ones out there.
Yes.
I mean, there are just so many.
Yep.
Go to a good game store. We love to go to, I know you have one in Grand Rapids too, Out of the Box Games.
Correct, yep.
They've got one in Holland now, and the staff on hand there will really, really help you out. So if you do have an interest in just getting something for a family get-together, head to Out of the Box, ask them, and they'll make some recommendations.
Yep.
Bob, what's next?
Ooh, that's a good question. I have a lot of
games?
Yeah. So a couple that I think of. One is called Outfox. This is a deduction style game where you're going around the board, flipping clues, and ultimately you're trying to figure out like who stole the fox's pie or something like that. But it's a
interesting.
Very
So the fox is not the stealer in this.
well,
You're
maybe
stealing from the fox.
It's been a second since I've played it.
Like,
All right.
it's not like
So-
Dora.
Either
No.
way, somebody stole a pie, and that's what I'm upset about. And we need to get to the bottom of this.
It's a good introductory deduction style game for kids. Like my daughter loves this game, even
How
though
old
I
is
can't. 8.
Okay.
So the fact that I can't even like describe it is really good. But but yeah, you go around and you're flipping tokens, and ultimately the tokens are leading you down this path of who did it.
Yeah.
And you're trying to guess, and it's one of those things where it gives you an opportunity to teach kids deduction, like, okay, it can't be this person because of this reason and
Right.
everything like that. So I think it does.
How
a
do
really
you
good job.
feel about it as a parent?
Yeah.
I mean, is it like,
Do
oh
you
my
like
gosh, we got to
playing
play
it when
the
she gets
Fox
it out?
game?
I am engaged enough, but I'm also terrible at deduction games. That's like my least favorite thing. Like I'm like, who did it? I don't know. And she's just like, it's this, Dad. And I'm like, oh,
That's
okay.
really funny.
All right. So what was that game again?
Outfoxed.
Outfoxed.
Yep.
Another one.
One more kids game that I really want to talk about is Rhino Hero Super Battle. This is a dexterity style game where you're basically building a big building. And you have
Okay.
these, remember when you would used to make buildings out of playing cards?
Yes.
Well, you have these folded pieces and you're stacking them and they're different heights, and then you're just creating this gigantic structure. And ultimately, your little pawn is going to be moving up the structure. And if you ever run into the same level as another player pawn, you guys battle. You roll a die. Whoever wins stays on the level, and the next person goes down. And then whoever is sitting on top, if it ever crumbles, typically they're the winner. So they're going to have this like
you
little,
win if it crumbles?
If you're on the top tier, if you're higher,
Never been on the top tier, but I long to be.
It's
a goal.
2023.
Top tier. So if I get to the top tier and
You have some
everything,
big goals coming up, man.
Yeah.
yeah, I dream big, Bob.
So
I live small but dream big.
yeah. So if you're on the top tier, you're going to get a little token, and if somebody else causes the structure to collapse, you'll win. If you cause the structure to collapse, then you lose.
Oh, then I
Okay.
lose.
Yes.
Oh, yeah, that's how it'll be. I'll get there, and then I'll self-destruct. That's how I roll. So that one's called,
Rhino Hero Super Battle.
and I guess
I
the,
like
the thing that
this.
I want to ask that everybody out there is probably wondering, parent-wise, how messy is this? Is this a big cleanup?
No.
Is it like Mousetrap?
No, it's not. It's a very small footprint. You'd be surprised.
All right. Okay. We probably have time for one more. So pick your favorite thing, Bob. You got 2 minutes and go.
If your household does not have Ticket to Ride, you should own Ticket to Ride. Ticket to Ride should be in everyone's house, I think. It is such a good, elegant game that can play younger audiences, but older people, even somebody like myself who is a seasoned gamer.
Sure.
I still enjoy playing that game. I think it has a subtle elegance to it. There's a lot of strategy that you can unpack, and it's right up there with games like Monopoly in that they've sold so many copies that I think if you're gonna buy a game just to start out, buy Ticket to Ride.
Ticket to Ride is absolutely great. It's a map. The standard, the first one that came out was a map of the U.S.
Yep.
And basically you've got different color train cars, and you've got 45 little cars, and the map is broken up into all kinds of routes. You draw tickets that connect different cities, Sault Ste. Marie and whatever, Salt Lake City, and there's different points associated, and then nobody knows what the other people have for their tickets at first.
Yep.
And then you're trying to collect colored train cars and match them up to match what's on the tracks in order to fill these routes in, and you're trying to complete your route, and you're getting points along the way. And you get points for completing tickets. You can get new tickets. And that's really fun. At the end of the game, sometime you got a bunch of stuff down and you draw 3 tickets and you've got 2 of them completed already. That's like super golden. The thing I love about it is that, like Bob's saying, I do a ton of games. And this is something we just played this past weekend. And it's so much fun to me because I don't even need to win. For me, it's just fun can I complete my own routes against, all these other people who are messing my plans up. Now, this is one where my daughter Hannah cries.
Okay, that's
and then
the one.
Instantly gets the sympathy of me, which instantly makes the other kids angry. So
you can't have favorites, man.
No, I know. Well, I just don't handle crying. If you would cry right now, Bob, I'd cave and give you another half hour.
Hold on.
Anyway, that's all the time we've got. If you want to catch Bob's podcast, Bob, how do they get a hold of that?
Yeah, we're going to be pretty much on every major podcast network. It's just search the Board Game Shenanigans Podcast.
The Board Game Shenanigans Podcast. Check it out. Bob Troszok, thanks for being here. Now, we're going to take a break, and when we come back, we're going to be launching the Great Big Christmas Contest for the year. You're going to want to hang around for that so you can find out how to win. That's coming up next. Stay tuned.
If you want to take your DIY skills up a rung, the RepcoLite Home Improvement Show is here to give you a boost on News Radio Wood 1300 and 106.9 FM.
And we're back, and Haley, it's time. Everybody has waited. They've waited through the whole show. Now it's time to dish all the details on our big Christmas contest.
This is a very exciting time of year.
It is exciting.
I love this contest.
It would be even more fun if I was eligible to win.
I mean, yeah. But it's fun to give things.
It is fun to give things. Yeah, it is. Well, yes. I shouldn't. Yes, it's really fun to give things. I'm very excited.
Yeah.
I just really would love to win it. But I can't. I am not eligible to win, nor is my family. No. And this always annoys my sister and her family because there's no way I could let them win.
Jordan wants to win it too.
I know, yeah. It's really cool. Now, last year, in fact, we've done this contest for as long as we've been on the radio. So 5 years, coming up on 6 in April. But 5 years worth of Christmas contests. And this year, we've mixed it up just a little bit in that rather than giving you something that we've kind of curated ourselves.
Yeah, a very specific gift, like a gift certificate to a restaurant and board games. And...
Right. We picked things that I would have liked.
Yes.
And since I've got amazing, impeccable taste, everybody was thrilled and happy.
Right.
But this year I decided, you know what? Let's just let everybody figure out what they want themselves. So we're going to just give you cash in the form of gift cards, Visa cards.
So
one person is going to win a $500 Visa gift card. And then we've got what?
Pretty great.
Pretty great. I thought you said wait. Like I said something wrong. But no, I'm just dishing out the gold here, right? So one person, $500 Visa gift card, great. Another person is going to win a $250 Visa gift card. That's great. Not great, but it's great.
Another person is going to win a $250 gift certificate to RepcoLite.
Which is an experience as well as a gift certificate. So that's great. Right, exactly. Use that on anything in the store, whatever you want. Make yourself happy, treat yourself well, have a big time on the town.
Yeah.
Now let's talk about the contest itself. It starts today at the conclusion of the RepcoLite Home Improvement Show.
9 a.m.
9 a.m. sharp. Be ready for that. And the contest is going to end on December 21 at midnight.
Right.
Also sharp. That was a little more blunted because it's not going to be quite midnight. It'll be 11:59. So
It's a soft midnight.
It's a soft midnight. Anyway, the 3 winners will be drawn randomly from all of the correct entries.
Yes, correct.
And that's important. And then we will announce those winners on the December 24 Christmas Eve extravaganza of the RepcoLite Home Improvement Show. You're going to want to be here for that. All right. Now let's talk about the contest itself. It's kind of like last year's.
Right.
In that we've got 10 very famous characters who are visiting our stores, one in each of our 10 RepcoLite locations.
In the form of a cardboard cutout.
Oh, I should have said that. Yes, thank you for bailing me out.
Real. People are not there day and night.
Yes, exactly. Right. We'd have to feed them. We'd have to take all the red M&Ms out, all the things celebrities need.
Right.
We got cardboard cutouts.
It's a little cheaper.
Yeah, they're much easier to care for, and we're able to keep them alive through the season. So each store has a cardboard cutout, and then they built a Christmas display around that cutout.
It's very fun, and it's your job to visit all of the different RepcoLite locations and figure out which cardboard cutout is living in that display.
Right. It's your job. So you better get on it. Right. Haley's cracking the whip here. So you figure out where the cardboard cutouts are, or you figure out a couple of them, whatever you do. Then you go to RepcoLite.com, and then we're going to have a banner right on the homepage. So you can't miss it. You click that, you'll go to the contest page, and there'll be an entry form right there. And basically for that, all you need to do is answer the questions. And there's 10 different questions. It's very simple. One of the questions, for example, is the Lakewood Boulevard store. Man, Boulevard. Such a hard word to say. It's a very simple thing, but the word is tough. You can just read it silently and you can breeze right over it. I have to say it out loud. The Lakewood Boulevard store has which cutout? That's the question.
Exactly.
There's a drop-down list with 10 options. One of them is right. You just select the right option.
So essentially, you're just matching each store with the correct cardboard cutout.
Exactly.
And if you get all of them correct, all 10 entries, that's 10 good entries into this contest.
Right.
Now more chances to win.
The entry form will not tell you if you're wrong. It'll just take your answer.
Yeah.
If we choose you and you've got the wrong answer, then you're not a winner. We keep looking. So you get one chance to answer each one of these questions. So you can't go back later and re-answer that Lakewood question. Just keep that in mind. You get one shot to get it right. We're going to have a PDF on that website page at RepcoLite.com. Click the banner on the homepage. The contest page will have the entry form and a PDF worksheet.
Yes, to kind of help you stay organized in your quest to figure out which cardboard cutout is at each location.
So you can print that off, carry it around on a clipboard, really take this seriously. Yes. All right? So how do you get these answers? Well, like Haley said, you go to all the stores and you look. That's one way to go. But there's some driving that you'd have to do.
Yeah, it's a pretty big commitment.
Goshen, Indiana. We've got Snyder Paints, Muskegon. A lot of driving. But you can do that. That really will work. You can snoop. You can call. You can do whatever.
Team up with friends.
Team up with friends. If you've got friends, that probably works really well. Those of us
that's a requirement.
Who are a little more, limited on that, we're going to have to get more creative. So beyond that, we're going to also give out hints. So the next 3 weeks on this radio show, we're going to give out 3 different hints. So one hint today, one next week, and so on. And then also the same week on our YouTube channel.
An extra hint.
An extra hint. It will be different from the hint that I give out on the show today.
Right.
So there'll be 3 different hints given out that way. And then we'll also have hints on Facebook and Instagram.
Exactly.
So each store will get hinted at. Keep that in mind. Now, there's one other extra thing that Haley's going to explain to us in about 15 seconds.
Okay. So the other way that you can get entered, and this will give you extra entries potentially, is go to the store, take a picture of the Christmas display, post that picture on Instagram, and tag at RepcoLite Paints, and also hashtag RepcoLite. That's going to enter you into the contest as well.
All of that and more info is at RepcoLite.com. Click the banner on the homepage. We've got to get to the hint, and this hint is for the Broadmoor Avenue store. All right? The cutout there spent 20 years in the military and then retired with the rank of Air Force Master Sergeant.
Wow.
So the cutout at the Broadmoor store spent 20 years in the military, retired with the rank of Air Force Master Sergeant. Get to RepcoLite.com, get that entered, and you're started. All right? Go to YouTube when we're done. Get another hint. Haley, that's all the time we got. We've got to wrap it up. If you want to catch this one again, you can find it online at RepcoLite.com. Whatever you do today, make sure paint's a part of it. The RepcoLite and Port City paint stores are open until 3, waiting to help. I'm Dan Hansen.
I'm Haley Johnson. Thanks for listening.